Well, I said I would do it. I would do the next review according to the votes on the last review or first impressions and Dwarfs one. So this is interesting. I was hoping to not do Dwarfs for a bit, because I haven't played with or against them. So, okay, let's get into it. So what this video is, it is a first impression slash review of the Warhammer Armies Project's Dwarves. Dwarfs? No, it's Dwarfs. I'm just gonna go ahead and talk about what I feel, how they're gonna play, my guts tell me about this book, and then in about 6 months I'm gonna come back to this book and see if I agree with my opinions, if they've changed. It might take longer than 6 months. I want to get a bunch of games in with and against the Dwarves before I can get good strong reviews. Yeah, so this is interesting. Dwarves, how do I feel about this book? Once again, caveat: I have not played with it. I have not played against it. I have used some dwarfs with my Dogs of War and a couple of bat reps. Probably at this point, at the time I'm recording this, one, two, three, four bat reps with them. You probably only seen one the day I released this. But my gut says this book has pigeonholed them into shooting. So that's my thesis. No, that's my theory. And when we get to the end of this video, I'll explain how I got there. But I'm going to walk you through it as I go through this book right now. So, Army Special Rules, Warhammer Armies Project, Dwarves. We got Relentless still, makes sense. Always be marching. We hate orcs and goblins and skaven. Oh, and hobgoblins. Cool. The Resolute Special Rule is kind of cool. They lose combat by one few. If they lose combat, they lose combat by one fewer than they actually did. Kind of a cool rule. I think that's better than I think most people would realize at first glance. I think it's a pretty damn good rule. It's across the board. I'm pretty sure everything has it. Grom Real Armor. It you add it's like an upgrade. It's not full plate. Okay, so it's +1. Cool, 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 cool. We still got shield bearers. We have the natural resistance to magic the doors have had forever. Oath stones are there, slightly buffed with a magic resistance. A dwarf crafted is an interesting buff. All handguns, pistols, and crossbows from the Dwarf Army can reroll ones to hit. That's a really powerful ability. I really dig that. Okay, now that's the special rules. We're gonna go into magic items, but oh no, I'll save it for the end of the wrap stuff. So magic items, Dwarves have always had an interesting way of doing things. Well, not always, I guess, but for a number of editions, where they get to create runic items, a really cool mechanic where they can just inscribe runes on magic items, whether it be talismans, enchanted things, armor, weapons. Make your own cool custom items. Back in 8th edition, it got kind of a lackluster in a way. Like there was a few combos that were still interesting and usable, but it was toned down and lost a little bit of its majesty. It just was less interesting in 8th. I don't see that different here in the Warhammer Armies projects. That being said, there are tons of runes I'm going to use or would use, and I would expect my opponent to use most of the time. But I'm not seeing really cool runic combos or interesting thing. It's just more of the same. But at the same time, when we're looking at the Warhammer Armies project, this more of the same is expected and the right call in many regards, right? This Warhammer Armies project is often called Ninth Edition. It kind of is, but it is as much of an 8.5 edition than 9 edition. So runic weapons, sorry, runic items. While I may have missed a couple combos as I just read through a couple of times, it's more the same. It's about the same. It's not any better than 8th. My gut tells me, but it's not any worse than 8th. Oh well, in one regard, I'll get to why it might be a little bit worse, a little bit. But yeah. So yeah, it's about the same, and I don't think that's a good thing or bad thing. I think it's a hard. This is a hard one to make really good. This is a mechanic, runic weapons that could easily and quickly become oppressive. However, Matthias did add ancestral heirlooms, so magic items in the book, and I dig a number of these. I'm going to give a couple of honorable mentions to the Golden Scepter of Norgrim, the Fire Ring of Thori, the Banner of Lost Holds. The Banner of Lost Holds and the Golden Scepter. I'll probably bring many. Like I would excuse me, I would want to bring often, I think. Two very cool magic items. Again, you can, all the rules are for free. Link in the description below this video. You can go ahead and download the book and read them yourself. There's no point in me sitting here reading all the items, what they do. In fact, pause the video right now, go to the website, open up the book. You're reading them? They're pretty good. I dig them. Yeah, I like the Ancestor Heirloom. The couple of really nice ones in there. So let's just talk about how they did get nerfed in a roundabout way. So the character runic / magic item limit has been decreased. So dwarves enjoyed an era of 150 to 125 points worth of magic item limits on certain lords, and like 75 points on certain characters. That's gone. They have the same restrictions of every other army, thus making the combos a little less interesting. So I've already made a number of like magic weapons that are pretty good, usually with using the great weapon, but number of magic weapons that are really quite good. A couple of magic armors that are really quite good, and then you just can't quite afford point wise everything to make a decent or nice the ultimate combo you're looking for. So you end up compromising, and then once I started compromising, I found I was more often just going into the main rule book and grabbing equivalent things there. But that's not a critique. That's on the runic items or the system there. It's probably more my style of play in Warhammer. Everybody knows, maybe most people know, I've never been a character guy. I don't like spending a lot of points in characters. I don't like relying on them, other than magic, obviously. Named characters I just never got behind. It's not my thing. I don't want these big beefy fighty characters. And with dwarves in the past, they can make some really beefy, expensive point-wise characters, but you often didn't do it competitively because they were far too easy to avoid with their 3-inch move. So yeah, I don't know how I feel about runic items, how often they're going to get used, and I'm excited to go back and see. Though I suspect there are a number of runes that you're going to see on the regular. I like the idea of was it a rune? Yeah, it was a rune. Units within I think 6 of the rune, 5 a board save against missile attacks. I'm going to put that. Oh, it's a PSP only, I think. I'm going to put that near a handful of war machines and keep them, rolling that 5 up. Okay, let's we can skip past lords, engineers, and all that kind of stuff. Kind of like the same I would expect. Now let's go right to Corms. Scrolling on my other window over here. So warriors, 7 points of model. They have the resolute, relentless, ancestral grudge special rules. We already talked about all those. Can only take medium armor. They start with light, but can only upgrade to medium. I for some reason expected them to be able to purchase heavy armor because many books, I won't say most, but I'll say many instead for accuracy, have seen armor increases to a lot of the core troops or their army as a whole. Lizard maybe got a bit of a decrease, but yeah, armor increases. Now I can totally see not giving dwarfs an army increase or armor increase, but yeah, I expected it. That being said, when I went, oh, they can't upgrade their warriors to heavy armor. Interesting. Then I was like, oh yeah, there's probably a reason for that. Actually, that kind of makes sense. So it's probably fine. So let's see if I agree with that in 6 months. Comment below how you feel about that. I suspect having them in heavy armor could get expensive and too defensive, but at the same time, I don't know if I'm ever want to spend points on warriors ever. And I'll wrap this up. I keep saying I'm going to wrap it up at the end. I'm trying to make a bunch of points and then I'm going to try to combine them all together. So next we got Longbeards for core, but you may not have more Longbeards in your army than warriors. That one was a huge disappointment. But Longbeards, maybe they shouldn't have been core, so whatever. So Longbeards are they have elite infantry stats with stubby little dwarven legs. So we got weapon skill 5, strength toughness 4, initiative 2, whatever you're a dwarf, and leadership 9. Resolute, old drummers, relentless, all the special rules. They start with the medium armor, and they can upgrade it to heavy armor. shields, great weapons, and that kind of stuff. So we're base 12 points a model for weapon skill 5, strength and toughness 4, core. Fan freaking tastic. I love that. Movement 3, whatever. It sucks, but we fight in the march. Dwarfs have to have a weakness, right? It's initiative and movement. Strength, toughness 4, 12 points a model. Medium armor to begin with, not going to complain. You want to upgrade to heavy armor and take great weapons, or upgrade to heavy armor and take shields? Two very good combos right there. I feel like I would use exclusively Longbeards if I could. Quarrelers and Thunderers, 13 points of model base. It can upgrade to medium armor, great weapons and shields on Quarrelers. I'm assuming the Thunderers can't take great weapons, but they can take medium armor and shields. Just as I expected. Point costs seem about right. You probably upgrade to medium armor and shield on both of those. 15 points a model, 150. Yeah, I dig it. Point costs seem about right. Defensive unit can handle shaft charges. They're not going to hold up to a charge to a main infantry block, but they're going to handle the things that are usually set to clear out missile units. Fight well enough in that regard, and have pretty good shooting. Now, only with skill 3, that's what Dwarf always had, but rerolling ones to hit is pretty nice, not gonna lie. Especially if your opponents get really close in combat and you have to fire in a close, or you're like friends and you have to like fire in a close combat. Which is actually, no, that's probably gonna be very rare because these weapons are move or fire. But, you know, it could come up. I can see spend my points on Thunderers and Quarrelers. All my core spent on them. Or all my core minimum points, right? Hammerers are interesting again because of the armor increases of WAP as a whole. Being able to upgrade to heavy armor seems an auto-include. Having 4-up armor on these toughness 4, strength 6 down to 5 after the first round of combat. With stubborn, I don't dislike the points. It's just slightly better Longbeards with stubborn. Oh, they're 2 decks a model. There are significantly better Longbeards. 2 decks a model, great weapons. 16 points a model because you're going to upgrade them to heavy armor. I might make it 17 points a model. In fact, I probably would. Give them shields to keep them alive from shooting. Give them a nice 2-up armor save from shooting in the front. Really keep them in the fray. I dig them. However, I wonder how often we were going to use them. Iron Breakers. Okay, we got full plate armor, we got Grommer armor, we got shields, we have shield wall. Shield wall is extra, like 5-up parry when they're charged. Crazy good armor, strength and toughness 4, 16 points a model. It's just good. It's just 16 points of good. Strength and toughness 4, weapon skill 5, crazy good save on infantry. Just good. Almost as good as Warriors of Chaos infantry. Yeah, anyway. really good infantry unit. Miners, pickaxe digging in the ground, not children dwarves. Miners, 9 points a model. Ambushers, I dig it. Otherwise, dwarven warrior stats for 2 points more a model. I dig it. You're basically paying 2 points for ambushers. I dig it. There was an old combo I like to play. You're not going to see that often. Actually, I would use more of these if I had any miner models. That being said, anybody has any miners? I want to be clear for the algorithm here. I'm looking for dwarves with pickaxes to sell or know where you can watch them. Send me an email. Really fun to make ambushing dwarf unit because slow legs. Slayers, some of my all-time favorite dwarf models. I have like 30 of them ready to paint. They got Vanguard now. Their rules are otherwise as before. 11 points a model, and can be skirmishers for free. If I get my hands on an Ungrinno Iron Fist model, I'm going to make an army of just pure Slayers. I freaking love it. Vanguard and Skirmishers. Well, I guess Skirmishers give Vanguard. But they come Vanguard innately. I'm probably going to skirmish them every game. The -1 hit from shooting is really going to keep them alive, I was going to say, but like they're still going to die. But it's the mobility of movement with the Skirmishers, the ability to reform and not having to wheel with your Slayers is ridiculous. Dig the Slayers. Rangers. Rangers are going to range. Range. I going to use them? Maybe. Ooh, they upgraded skirmish now. So if I use rangers, I'm going to upgrade to skirmishers 100% of the time. They only have light armor. Makes sense. Shields, probably going to have to buy shields because people are going to want to shoot your rangers down. Oh my. Crossbows are 6 points a model. Ooh. Rangers have value with throwing axes. No, you don't even need throwing axes. Rangers have value with skirmish and shields and going hunting. And they also have value with crossbows, I think. I think when I come back to review this my own video in 6 months to a year, I think I'm gonna think Rangers are interesting. Let's see how often I use them. Death Roller. I'm moving on. Don't know nothing about it. It's a model I don't have. Don't know if they ever sold one. Special cannons. 100 points. It's a cannon. Gonna bring 3 of them. Grudge Thrower. 80 points. It's a catapult. Gonna bring 3 of them. Bolt Throwers. 45 points a model. It's Bolt Thrower. Gonna bring 3. Wait a minute. 1 to 2 as a special. I can bring 6? Sure, I'll bring 6. Clearly, I'm not going to bring all these war machines on enough points. But we can bring a lot of war machines. Fire throwers, we can bring 2 per special choice. We can bring 6 of those. Interesting. Let's move on to rare. Iron Drakes. Ooh, I forgot to check what the Drake gun is. I have to scroll up real quick. Full plate armor, immunity to fire. They have Brawl Merle, so it's full plate 3. 2 up armor save without shields. Forgot to check what the Drake gun is. Bear with me. How long is this video? Oh god, this video is way longer than I expected. I thought this one was going to be short because I didn't know anything about doors. Maybe they're longer because I didn't play them. Let's just scroll up. Keep this one under 20 minutes. No, we're not. Drake gun, where are you, Drake gun? Feeling the pressure. Hello, Bugman. I did just read this book before I went started recording, but I don't like to edit. I do not like to edit, so I don't want to pause this video. Iron Drakes. No. Iron Breakers. That's not Iron Drakes. Iron Drakes. Drake gun. 15-inch range. Armor piercing 1. Flaming attacks. Quick to fire. Strength 5. So very similar. How many points a model were these chumps? There's a lot of nice art in this book. I love the layout. Drake. Hey. 17 points a model. 17 points a model. We have 2 up armor save. We're strength, toughness 4. A really I dig this unit. Oh, I dig this unit. Expensive, but many things are nowadays in WAP. Doomseekers are back from the good old days of... What are the special armies called back in the day? When Doomseekers were released. Either way, Doomseekers back. Oregon Gun got moved to rare. Understandable. Flameken's rare. Understandable. A Gyrocopter's rare. That's not... Oh, it's 2 for 1. You can take 2 Gyrocopters as a single rare choice. Dig it. Gyro Bomber, Rune Guardian. Ah, that's extra. I don't like new units. Grudge Breaker and Thunder Barge. Ooh, okay. So Thunder Barge model. If anybody knows where I can buy one, get an STL, buy an STL, any of that kind of stuff. Send me the information. I would love to put a Thunder. I don't care if I ever use it. I want to paint. I saw the artwork in the book. I want to paint a Thunder Barge. I don't care. 275 points for this. It's gonna be flying chariot, hovering chariot with armor save 4 up. Toughness 6, 8 wounds. That seems high, but it does other things. But the artwork was amazing. If a model exists for this, does someone make one somewhere? Let me know. The idea is cool enough. I'm in for that. Okay, Dwarves. Why do I think they are pigeonholed into shooting? Dwarf warriors aren't going to hold their own. You can't fill your core with thunder, longbeards. The only real viable core, I think, are Thunderers and Coralers. War machines are too readily accessible. I think this book does not allow you to effectively run infantry. No, sorry, a melee only. You have to put a lot of points into dwarf warriors to bring longbeards, but then you have less points for hammers and iron breakers. So maybe you just bring warriors and rely on your hammers and iron breakers. It kind of pigeonholes you or tells you if you want to make an effective dwarf list. So this has been a forever dwarf problem as well. If you want to make an effective dwarf list, you're bringing a lot of guns. That being said, in 8th edition, many tournaments had to comp dwarves. Dwarves were on top of the list of feel bad to play against armies with certain compositions. Were they a worse defender? For some, they were, but not to everybody, right? But dwarves would love to castle up into a corner with nothing but guns and war machines and watch your opponent cross the field. So dwarves would their opponent would move. Like dwarves wouldn't even move. They just stand there, roll their attack dice, roll their shots, and move on. And reliable war machines with all the runes and kind of stuff like that. Just a very, very gunline army. I'm not saying you have to play that way. I honestly, for health of the game, I don't think anybody should play that way unless like you're doing a narrative thing or your opponent wants to see if they can cross the field. But the old days of 8th edition, you spend 3-4 turns crossing the field, and then you charged their thunders or quarrelers or whatever, and then they had 5-up parry. Or if they got a chance to charge you, they were an extra strength on the charge. I understand why those rules were taken away from the thunderers and the quarrelers. The fact that those rules were lost for the rest of them de-incentivizes melee only armies. The most fun I had playing with dwarves back in the day was melee only. I would vanguard a big old horde of hammerers. I'd bring miners, dwarves with pickaxes, and come up from underground in the back lines and vanguard for two of my 3 gyrocopters and try to get up the field right away and play some melee game. You're not really incentivized in doing that anymore. The most efficient and effective way for playing this book, from what I can tell from my first impressions, is sit back in the corner and gun your opponent down, which is unfortunate. But nerf. But when the problem in 8th edition is when you got to that gun line before, they had so many defensive buffs like the parry. It was just even harder to break them. So you took away that ability. So if you cross the field and get to them now, they're not going to have that extra parry, but you're still going to. I just yeah. So my guts are this book heavily implies to gun line up the army. Too many war machines. Yeah, just bring a ton of war machines, bring a ton of thunderers and quarrelers is going to be a most effective way. And probably the least fun way for your opponent, but that's stores. That's how I think this book it seems to me. Maybe I don't think I'm missing anything, but it's always possible. Way down below, comment what you think, and remember, I have not played with or against this book yet. So this is just reading through and talking with years of Warhammer experience, but no actual physical hands-on experience with this book. So yeah, maybe there's some interesting things, and maybe glossing over the Thunder Barge, Rune Guardians, Death Rolla. Maybe if I spent more time really trying to get my mind around those, maybe I'd have a different opinion. But looking at things as a whole, it's like, yeah, reroll ones to hit with your Thunderers, reroll ones to hit with your Quarrelers, have War Machines to back you up. Comment below what you want the next one to be. You know what, if I don't know the book, I'll do it anyway, just like I did this one, and we'll get through all of these. We'll have another one of these uploaded on Sunday. Remember, everything on this channel happens because of our channel members. We appreciate each and every one of you. See you the next one. Happy wargaming.